Okay, our quote comes from Theodore Roosevelt, who lived from 1858 to 1919 and was the 26th U.S. president from 1901 to 1909. The quote here is part of a speech that he delivered in 1910 at the Sorbonne in Paris, shortly after leaving the U.S. presidency. The speech was entitled Citizenship in a Republic, and the quote is now famously called the Man in the Arena. And here's the quote. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by the dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again because there's no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. It's a great quote. So, if you've ever considered pursuing a hunch or a dream or an endeavor that required an undertaking of some kind, regardless of success or failure, this quote is for you. In a creative sense, this quote is saying, you got to be a doer and not a spectator. The ones who jump into whatever the endeavor is and get their hands dirty are the ones who deserve praise and credit, not the one who sits on the sideline and criticizes, fearing failure. And I know we all fear failure, but it's taking the leap that counts. Even if you fail, which everybody does, it's inevitable, you come away with the satisfaction of knowing you went for it, and then you keep going. So what's that thing that you've been wanting to do for so long? It could be founding a business or organization or creating content like a podcast or writing a book or writing and recording a song. Or maybe it's a new approach to something that already exists. If it's a worthy pursuit and you've counted the cost and you've got your priorities in the right place, what's holding you back? Why don't you just take the first step? That's the hardest part, starting. The difference between the critics and criticism is that criticism can be constructive. There will always be critics, but the ones who we're talking about in this context don't really matter. And if you let them get in your head and influence your thinking, they can destroy the unique thing you're trying to create. So there's only one way to avoid critics, and that's to do nothing at all. Just don't do anything. Is that what you really want to do, though? To me, that sounds like a life unlived. If you commit to doing the work, who knows what can happen? If you don't take action, one thing is for certain. You'll be in the very same place tomorrow as you are today. Action leads to opportunity. Don't be a spectator. Don't be a critic. Be the one in the arena. Okay, forget the critics. I want to focus on the creatives, the participants. And starting there in the quote, let's read this one more time. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes short again and again, because there's no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat, i.e., the critics. Okay, there you have it. Go jump in. That is the creator quote for the day.